Today, let's dive into a story, a tale of two worms. And believe me, this is a story that starts somewhere you'd never expect, maybe even your own garden. But it can end up in a hospital, revealing a hidden danger that's quietly spreading across the entire globe. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, doesn't it? But this is very, very real. That tiny snail or slug, the kind you might find on your lettuce, can actually be a Trojan horse for a parasite with a truly terrifying travel plan once it gets inside a human. So let's meet our two main characters, Angiostrongylus cantonensis and Angiostrongylus costaricensis. Now, they are super closely related, but once they get inside a human, they take two dramatically different paths. One has earned the chilling nickname the brain invader for its terrifying journey straight to our central nervous system. The other, we call it the gut imposter, and it's a master of disguise that causes absolute chaos in the intestines. So you have to be wondering, how can two worms be so similar yet cause such wildly different problems? Well, the answer is buried in their family tree and what makes them tick. First off, what even are we talking about here? Well, they're both what we call metazoan endoparasites. Okay, let's just break that down real quick. Metazoan just means they're complex, multicellular animals. So not a simple single-celled thing like the parasite that causes malaria. And endoparasite means it lives inside its host, unlike, say, an ectoparasite like a tick that lives on the outside. And trust me, this internal lifestyle is the key to their destructive power. What's really fascinating is just how closely related these two worms are. I mean, look at this. They're in the same kingdom, phylum, superfamily, even the same genus, Angiostrongylus. They're both a type of roundworm, specifically a lungworm. They only split off at the very last step, the species level. And that one-time difference is the biological fork in the road that sends one to the brain and the other one to the gut. You see, the secret to their success and the danger they pose to us is all wrapped up in their really complex life cycle. It's a journey that needs a very specific cast of characters to work. Okay, so for the brain invader, Angiostrongylus cantonensis, the adult worms live in the pulmonary arteries of rats. That's their main home. They lay eggs, which hatch into larvae and then get passed out in the rat's poop. A snail or a slug comes along and eats those larvae, becoming the next host. Inside the snail, the larvae grow up and become infectious. Then a rat eats that infected snail, and the cycle starts all over again. Simple enough, right? But if a human accidentally eats that snail, or maybe some produce contaminated by it, we become an accidental dead-end host. And that's when the larvae make a fatal navigational error, heading straight for the brain. Now let's look at the gut imposter, Angiostrongylus costaricensis. See how similar this is? You've got the rat, the snail, the accidental human. The pathway is almost identical. But here is the crucial, game-changing difference. When this parasite infects a human, it doesn't get lost and wander up to the brain. Nope, it follows its normal developmental path down toward the gut, and it burrows into the intestinal wall, where it can cause a whole different kind of mayhem. So where in the world do you actually need to worry about these things? Well, that's where the story gets really interesting, because thanks to global trade and travel, their maps are being redrawn all the time. The brain invader, Angiostrongylus cantonensis, used to be pretty much confined to Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. But today, it's a world traveler. It's now established in Australia, parts of Africa, the Caribbean, the southern US, and it's even recently made its debut in Europe, popping up in the Canary and Balearic Islands of Spain. The gut imposter, on the other hand, has stayed a little closer to home. It's primarily a creature of the Western Hemisphere. It's super common in Central America and pretty widespread in South America. Most cases you see elsewhere in the world are almost always linked to somebody traveling to these regions. And this brings us to a really crucial point, especially for anyone living in a place that's not an endemic region, like the Netherlands or Canada or Northern Europe. Here, neither of these worms can really establish a natural cycle. So the risk isn't from your local garden snail. The risk is from international travel, or from contaminated produce, and even ornamental plants that are imported from areas where the parasite lives. It's just another reminder of how interconnected our world really is. Okay, so this is it. This is the crucial point. What actually happens when we become that accidental host? This is where the story takes a really dramatic turn. So the brain invader causes a disease with a mouthful of a name, neuroangiostrongyliosis. It's also known as eosinophilic meningitis. Basically, it's a severe inflammation of the lining of the brain and spinal cord, and it's caused by a flood of specific white blood cells that are responding to the invasion. The gut imposter causes abdominal angiostrongyliosis, which is a powerful and really painful inflammatory reaction right in the intestinal wall. The symptoms of the brain invader, well, they're frightening. We're talking about severe, debilitating headaches, fever, and a whole range of neurological problems. And the real danger isn't the worm itself. It's the body's own fierce immune response. As the worms die in the brain, the inflammation that results is what causes the damage. And in some cases, that damage can be fatal. And the gut imposter? Oh, this one is dangerously deceptive. It causes severe abdominal pain that perfectly mimics really common conditions like appendicitis or Crohn's disease. And this is critical because it often leads to a misdiagnosis and sometimes totally unnecessary invasive surgery. The inflammation can get so intense that it can block or even perforate the intestine. So, as you can probably imagine, diagnosing these infections is a massive challenge for doctors. You're basically hunting for an invisible enemy that leaves very, very few clues behind. Just look at how completely different the diagnostic hunt is for each worm. For the brain invader, doctors are searching for parasite DNA in the cerebral spinal fluid using a very specific PCR test. But for the gut imposter, the diagnosis often happens after surgery, when a pathologist looks at the removed intestinal tissue under a microscope and finds the worm's eggs or larvae. This difference has huge, huge implications for patients. And this quote right here, this underscores a critical reality. In non-endemic countries, these special tests aren't just sitting on the shelf at your local hospital. Samples have to be sent out to specialized expert centers, which can delay diagnosis at a time when every moment is crucial. It really highlights the need for greater awareness among doctors all over the world. So, with these invisible foes on the move, how do we actually protect ourselves? And what does the future of fighting them even look like? Well, the good news here is that prevention is actually pretty straightforward. First, you have to meticulously wash all your raw vegetables, especially leafy greens where tiny little slugs can hide. Second, and this is a big one, never eat raw or undercooked snails, slugs, or freshwater crustaceans. And finally, if you're traveling, you have to live by the golden rule. Boil it, cook it, peel it, or forget it. And on the science front, things are getting really creative. For example, on the island of Tenerife, researchers have started using lizards as environmental sentinels. Since lizards love to eat snails, testing them gives scientists a much clearer map of where the parasite is spreading, which helps them predict and prevent human outbreaks before they happen. Pretty clever, right? We compiled all the information for this explainer using a Gemini deep search. If you want to go deeper, you can find a detailed list of all our sources in the Notebook LM document that's linked below. And hey, if you found this useful, please subscribe to the channel and let us know what you think in the comments. And all of this leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. This tale of two worms is a powerful reminder that in our incredibly interconnected world, pathogens do not respect borders. So as global trade and travel continue to speed up, you have to wonder, what other hidden dangers are already on the move?